All right, boys, quick interruption to today's video because we have a very important drop literally this Friday, which is now when the video drops. So if you're watching the video, that means the drop is live. So if you guys remember my drift team, Front Street, we went to the first stage of Final Bout and we won.
Number 1 spot, 2023 champion, Front Street.
We're going to Wisconsin.
We're going to Disneyland.
We won at Summit Point, and now there is the final stage in Wisconsin at US Air, and well, we're trying to win that whole thing. So the boys need a little bit of help getting there. It's very expensive. It's a very long trip. We got a lot of tires and liveries to pay for. So we did a Oaks Garage Front Street collab tee to help get the boys there. So just a simple one color tee. We love the design. It's just like, you know, house logo with the boys. On top of that, we got 2 stickers, and this might be my favorite sticker from now on. Put that on everything, and of course, to commemorate the whole thing together, our team poster. So the 3 cars from our first stage at Final Bout. There's a limited amount of t-shirts. Of course, we didn't do a bunch, so if you guys want to cop one, hop below. Shop Jimmy O, I get to say it finally again. And grab a tee, support the boys, and we will get these cars, and hopefully very soon, all liveried up together. I'm very excited to see it. And we'll be in Wisconsin at US Air, winning Final Bout. That is the goal. Show them off, Suma. Show it off. Come on, that t-shirt looks fast. See how much cooler Sumo looks? Damn.
I used to be such a loser, but now look at me.
All right, guys, enjoy the video. Good morning, afternoon, good day, good night, whatever it is, everybody. Welcome to the channel. That was good, right?
That's great.
All right, so guys, we have been working on the Porsche all week, which has been amazing. I've been loving it. The engine's just about ready to go in. We gotta do the harness. Saving up for the next video, but we finally get to make some progress on the LSE 36, right? Our whole goal was to see if we could make Grid Life Lime Rock, which is in like next week, and we leave for 2 days for our Virginia event with Clean Culture at Dominion Raceway, August 12th. Tickets in the bio. Click it out. Click it out.
It'll be tomorrow when this video goes up.
Oh man, it's tomorrow. So if you guys in Virginia or in the area, come hang out. All the guys will be there. We're gonna have a great time. Dominion Raceway, August 12th, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Drifting, car show things, fun things. The boys. The boys. We've had a lot of pieces for this thing coming in, but I don't like to film video stuff until we can kind of complete almost whole systems at once, so you get, you know, a lot of knowledge and completion out of one video, right? So even though we're in this big rush to get it done, we haven't touched it. Stressful, but it's great. So this morning, the last few bits showed up that we could finally actually get on. Hopefully, I'm feeling confident about this, all the accessories. So we can get the LSA bolted up and finalized. We have some mods to this we're gonna show. And then I pieced together a whole accessory setup for the LS, since there's a million different ways to run accessories on the LS. Like
Corvette way, you could do the truck way.
There's custom brackets to fit everything. Like figuring out your accessories is like a whole part of LS swaps.
You've been stressed.
Making sure everything can show up in time. That's big, because I've ordered brackets from 4 different websites. Like every piece of the accessory system has come from a different website. How often am I on the phone just like, could you please overnight this? Like,
Please get this here.
Please get this here. So today we're gonna hopefully complete. I'm feeling confident on the accessories. I hope I'm not missing something, and we're gonna get to the, yeah. So for now, let's get to work. So first off, we're gonna start with some spoon mods.
Doing Porsche things, I felt left out. Just over here.
It's been like 3 videos since we've seen you.
Is it really?
Almost.
Oh man, yeah.
You'll see me creep in and then creep back out. Supercharger mods before Jimmy starts to get in my way.
Okay, there we go.
Mod number 1 to our LSA Supercharger. Inside the lid, we have our water to air intercooler. Now, these are prone to cracking right around here. These things were filled with water, get pretty heavy, and it's just literally hanging inside, so with the car bouncing around. These are prone to cracking and leaking right around here. So they sell this plate. Obviously we'll take it out, but you weld it in here to tie the 2 ears together. Nice, everything's O-ringed.
Look at that cute little heat exchanger. Yeah, you want to pass the torch, literally? Hole right through that thing. No, thank you. That thing ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, good. You can't break the ears off.
That's true factory GM torque spec.
1 done. Time for mod number 2. Need this bad boy
One mod about the Supercharger I want to talk about was something I got in the comments quite a bit, and that is adding a thermal barrier between the Supercharger and basically the valley cover, right? So on a lot of LS intakes, guys will take this thermal barrier and they'll basically stick this to the bottom of the intake, so it creates like this nice shield between the heat from the engine going into the intake, right? If you look at the Supercharger, there's actually a heat sink built into it, right? So you see all this ribbing right here. So not only is it structural, but it's also to help dissipate heat. And not only would we not really be able to stick this here, we are then creating this air barrier between here, which is just gonna create
heat soak.
It's gonna be counterproductive. So if we wanted to, we probably could add little strips on the inside, but I don't see it beneficial. So we're gonna be ditching the thermal barrier idea, and I think we should be more than fine with our air to water cooler. So the final mod we have to do until we could actually bolt the LSA Supercharger up officially is the steam ports, right? So LSs have these things called steam ports, where it's these little ports on the front and the back of the heads that are like the high point of the heads, right? So steam will rise in the cooling system to the highest point of the system, help bleed the steam off out of the heads, and then back into your cooling system, so you're not just like baking your heads, right? Especially in the rear. So of course we need to create a path that allows the steam out of the heads and put it back into the radiator. Only thing that kind of sucks about the LS3 heads is they cap the rear steam ports from factory. So we got to drill those out. Come on, see them right there? The little cap? Yeah, you see those little caps right there? You know, the engine is tilted back, so technically this is a higher point, so I get it. But if we have 4 ports, we're gonna use 4 ports. So a lot of guys, I hate to even put this out there, but a lot of guys will actually basically just get a punch and tap those things in there and just be forever in your head. And no one ever seems to have issues, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and drill that out carefully and pull it with the easy out. Let's see if the easy out breaks it free. Come on, baby. Here we go. Look at that. We got it. There we go. Got it. So now it's time to install our steam port kit. There's a million companies that make a million different steam port kits. I got this Motion Raceworks one because it's actually meant for the LSA. Right? Some of them go underneath, and this one actually goes up and above, so it looks kind of gnarly, and I think it's kind of cool. So first we install our fittings, and then we install all the lines. Fitting, gasket, and then we got the fronts. Then we convert that to a little -4 fitting. Driver rear. Aha, get it? No steam left behind, you know? So these are supposed to go like that. Look at this big, fat, juicy gasket on this thing. So these are actually riveted on from factory, because if you look, it's really easy for this to get moved around when installing. So to make our life easy, we're just gonna do the factory thing and install these rivets, which I think is kind of wild.
I've never heard of this before.
The oil pan gasket goes like that too.
See, no, it ain't going nowhere now. Now the gasket can't go anywhere. That's crazy. It's sick. You don't got to think about it. You got that, Mr. Muscles? Can you curl that thing? I hope this thing can. It's just gonna stay on now. Doesn't have to come off. We get to see how it actually fits. Now you want to get on it?
You've been torquing shit all week.
Let's see it. Crazy gas. Look how thick this thing is. Right. America's finest. Chevy Performance, baby. I see guys that are like, "Whoa, I don't have any boost." It's because they forgot this gasket. Drum roll, please. This is exciting. We've been dying at this thing like on.
It's just been mocked up for like a week now.
Yeah. Of course, I had to go with the biggest lid they sell for this freaking thing. So we got the ZL1 lid, right, which is huge. Most guys get the Cadillac lid, which is like way slimmer in the front, and the ports are on the back, so it's way less intrusive to the hood. But this is supposed to be way more efficient. So for this one, I chose efficiency over looks.
I get to just cut a bigger hole.
Yeah, spoon's typed.
Race car things.
Race car things, right? You know what's one of the trickiest parts about this whole engine when you buy everything new and create engine? Hardware. Nothing comes with hardware. Hell yeah. Took you from Hondas to Supercharger LS's.
I love it. I love it. That's why I left. That's why I left the game.
So the blower is officially on. That's a good feeling. And the steam port kit is on and it actually looks really good. So good. Yeah, that looks great. Motion Race Works, you killed that one. We put a little P-clamp right here and it cleans it up so much. So now we have the Supercharger on. It's official. The energy's good. Now it's time to start bolting accessories on this thing so we can figure out all that.
What you forgot?
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to picking the accessories for LS Swap, there is a lot of options out there. A lot of them will coexist with each other. Realistically, there's 3 different offset spacings for accessories, right? So if you think about like where the crank pulley is, there's 3 common offsets. Similar bracketries will work on similar offsets, if that makes sense. For me, I tried to keep it as simple as possible for myself, and I tried to mimic OEM CTSV as much as possible, right? Since this is basically a CTSV supercharger, if I found all the accessories that mimicked OEM, they'd most likely line up, right? Good theory. You can get aftermarket brackets that will utilize your different manufacturer power steering pump or different manufacturer alternator or different locations. Every car is different, right? Sometimes you have constraints of the engine bay. Sometimes you have constraints of the width of your engine bay. Sometimes you have constraints of the depth, you know what I mean? Like the Z, we didn't have much room in the front, so we had to make sure we had the accessories that were the closest to the engine. And sometimes you don't have the width where like Corvette accessories, the alternator, they put it like over here. So you gotta be careful. All of this is a accumulation of CTSV fitment, and with that we're going to start with the CTSV water pump. Like I mentioned before, when you're piecing together a drivetrain for the first time, remember hardware. Most things don't come with hardware, so you have to remember to buy either the hardware kit that matches or hope that you have a very extensive bolt bucket. There we go. The water pump, I feel like, is the thing that makes the LS engine start to look more like an LS engine, if that makes sense. Look at that thing. Oh yeah, I hope we can get the header in once that's on. Yeah, we're gonna find out the hard way. So now you're probably wondering, where is the main drive gonna be for the supercharger belt? You see that? So technically we're supposed to have another section on the crank pulley to drive just the supercharger, right? I wanna do they sell accessory packages where the supercharger belt and the accessories drive on the same belt, but I wanted to keep the accessories and the supercharger separate just because this is kind of like a high load spot and I want to deal with belts being thrown or slipping, especially since we're going to probably see limiter more than a street car, right? We will be replacing the crank pulley. We're just going to say that for last because we have a special thing we have to do for it. So we're going to leave this on for now and get the rest of the accessories in place. Bracket number 1, this holds the tensioner for the supercharger, and we have to find hardware for it. So we got my handy dandy bolt bucket in here.
Bolt bucket.
The good old bolt bucket. And we're gonna play this game. No, did we? Oh, nope. No.
Thought you got lucky.
These bolts are so ugly. But whatever, dude.
They'll be fine.
They'll be fine. Next bracket is going to be the alternator bracket. It's gonna be down here. I was actually able to get all these brackets on Rock Auto, which is pretty cool. Gotta love that. You ready? Torque to spec. So we have alternator bracket, and now we need a power steering bracket, right? And I think this just bolts. Yeah.
That looks right.
That looks good. And hopefully the last bracket we need is this, and this will be basically the bracket that'll hold the guides for our supercharger belt. This should go right on the water pump. Looks like I bought the right water pump. I think that's all we need. I might be missing one. That's why I was eager to do this video, because
We gotta figure that out.
we gotta figure that out today, yeah. So now that all the brackets are on the engine, now it's time to actually bolt on the accessories that we have for it. So I think we should start with the alternator because that's just the easiest one. Oh, I already found hardware, nice work. So LS alternator, nothing fancy, we just got a high voltage one. Nothing much to talk about. There you go.
It's too cute working.
Yeah, you like that?
Oh, you want just a little peck on the cheek.
No. You know how sus it looks like looking up at the camera like this, man? We've all seen those videos. Now we have the power steering pump, right? Very important piece for a drift car. A lot of guys were yelling at me to go electric power steering. A lot of people I trust don't really care for the electric power steering on the E36. They have really good luck on the manual power steering pump, and this happens to be one of the fanciest ones. This is the most expensive power steering pump I've ever bought in my life, but I was told it's one of those must pieces when doing the swap. It's by Turn 1. I know a lot of Pro FD drivers use these in their Pro cars. If I could just buy once, cry once on a pump, I'll be very happy. So this should bolt up in factory normal position. And what's nice is the reservoir is built into it, so we don't have to like mount an external res or anything. We just bolt it on and go. So we have it for the high pressure being a -6 on top. You'll see that little fitting on top. So we go -6 off that, which it's a kind of an ugly spot. We're gonna have to have like come off and then over, but I'm just happy it has a hand fitting on it. The low pressure is just like a little spout. So it just bolts up nice and easy. It actually fits in here really nice. I was worried about the fitment of the res, but that's nice. Keeps it like self-contained. Wow, it's starting to look like an engine like pretty quick, isn't it? So there's supposed to be an idler pulley here, and there's 2 different ones to buy, and I couldn't pick between the 2 part numbers, and I bought the wrong one. So there's actually supposed to be a slightly smaller pulley here. This will probably technically work, but it makes things really tight and awkward, so I'm gonna order that pulley. I knew I was gonna mess up something. If this is the only thing I mess up, we'll see. Besides this pulley that we're missing, that should be all we have for our, we'll say, first level belt drive, right? So we'll have the water pump, power steering pump, alternator, and tension. And actually, how does it tension?
That's what I was asking.
I'm missing something. This is what I'm doing today. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is the pulleys for the supercharger side, right? So first we have here is the automatic tensioner for the belt on the supercharger. Now I was told to go with the upgraded one, and I was told this is the best one. So this is a really gnarly tensioner for the supercharger. Make sure this belt never slips or goes flying off. We can't be having that. So this thing is super easy. You just spend a bunch of money and you bolt it up right here. Oh, there we go. Dude, this thing is ridiculous. We have our tensioner, and now we need some guide pulleys or idler pulleys, right? So this bracket right here is an upgraded idler pulley kit, and these have some pretty gnarly rollers on them. Big, fat, juicy billet rollers. looks like longboard deck wheels, doesn't it? Oh, yeah, Loctite. Why not? I'm not playing games with this thing. You know, I've never had a supercharger like this on here before, so I don't know how much belt slipping is an issue, but it seems like everyone I talk to makes it sound like it's a very, very major issue. So I am doing everything I possibly can to make sure that we have no issues with our belt, making sure it doesn't go flying off, or making sure it's not slipping so we're not making full boost. So between the tensioner and these guides, I'm really hoping we don't have any of those issues. Look how wild that looks. These things are massive, and there's 3 of them. So now that we have the accessories on, I figured out what I'm missing, right? I knew I needed to get to this point first, but what I realized is we got the wrong idler pulley, right? I got too big of one. And then there is no tensioner system on our accessory drive, right? Where's the belt get tensioned? So we realized there's actually supposed to be a belt tensioner that goes behind all this stuff that we didn't see, that bolts right to here, and that will tension the belt that's on the water pump, the power steering pump, and the alternator, right? Perfect. The last thing we have to do, and probably one of the most important pieces of the puzzle, is we have to install our new crank pulley, because right now, as you can see, there is no drive pulley for our supercharger. We have this crazy guide, crazy tensioner, the snout of the supercharger, but nothing to drive it. That's where all this fancy stuff comes in, right? So we have an ATI super dampener. You guys have seen these before. These are like the industry standard for performance. This one comes in a couple different pieces. Kind of have to build this together, right? This all goes together. And then on top of that, we had to pick what size we wanted for the supercharger drive, right?
You went big.
So the bigger we go on here, the more boost it's gonna make, right? So it's a balance, it's a ratio. It's just like kind of like a sprocket on a bicycle. It's a balance of ratio from crank pulley size to snout pulley size, right? So the smaller you go on here, the more it spins. The bigger you go on here, the more it spins, right? Make sense? I just wanted to try and keep the factory pulley to keep things simple. So I got the crank pulley size based off of the chart that puts the supercharger at like right under the danger zone.
Danger zone.
Well, there's like a chart, right? There's a chart that kind of tells you like your supercharger speeds versus where it's safe and where it's not safe. So I got it under the danger zone. That might be up for discussion, but we have to start somewhere, and so we're starting with this. Just a 10% overdrive. That's easy. We'll see what we'll make with this. If we can and want some more sauce, we'll change this one.
There it is.
Instructions?
No, you doing over there?
Clearly not. go. What the fuck? That ain't it, right, Barrett? No. So I read the instructions. So we start with the base hub right here, right? This is what goes on our snout. And then we sandwich all these pieces together, right? So we have the outer dampener right here. So this drives the accessories. Then we have the inner, which is supposed to drive the AC, which we don't have, but we actually, it provides for this, so we have to run this to hold it all together. Luckily it doesn't really weigh anything, so I'm not super worried about it. And then at the end, we have our bigger outer gear, which will drive the belt on our supercharger. So once it's all bolted together, that's what we got. So should we do that? There we go. So before we bolt this outer ring on, we actually have a pretty important process that we have to do, and we'll talk about it in just a second, but for now, let's get this thing seated on the crank. And these things are usually tight, so this might take a second.
Boom, Jimmy turns around and it's silver.
Annie sees this stuff is like the glitter of the car world, right? ATI actually suggests using ANCs. That's a fuck ton. No, it's fine. Which is good because, trust me, like, we've taken Brian's off before and he didn't use ANCs. It was a nightmare, so we're gonna do that. Don't move, Spoon. Before we install it, this is a really, really good point. Find TDC of your engine. Get the timing mark kit that they add, a timing pointer on the engine, and then align your ATI point to TDC. Right, you see how it has the timing marks on it? Align TDC to your new pointer, and then everything's great. But we don't have the pointer, we don't know what TDC is right now, so we're just gonna throw the crank pulley on and mark reference later. Sound good?
I trust you.
Team break. I'm tuning it, so it doesn't matter, right? Let's slip that thing on. Doesn't need a new front main seal because it's a brand new one.
Love that.
Let me lube that up, the outside real quick. I think there was 80 seals on that.
Get on in there.
Just a little bit of lube right here so the seal goes on nice. This is just a preference thing. A lot of different chemicals on the back of this thing right now. Pick your favorite position and slip it on. All right, blood's on your hands. It's probably gonna be your dumb tight fit.
Oh yeah.
Parts for here?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Look at that. Steve's back from the Chevy dealership.
Genuine Jim.
You know what sucks?
Just made me want to buy a CTS-V bad over there.
Yeah, they had one in the showroom.
Yeah, I almost cashed out.
They run your credit. Boom, brand new throttle body. Spoon's gonna want to port this.
No, I wanted to port the charger, but you had to put it back on.
No, you know, I think it'd be fun because we could pull the snout off pretty quick. It'd be fun
Another
to
time.
port the snout and port the throttle body and then put it back on the dyno.
Okay.
Come on, we gotta have something to look forward to, right? You wanna bolt this on now? That's,
We're in the middle of something.
I know, but this is exciting. Yeah, let's finish that. All right, so before we could torque down the crank pulley, we need something that's gonna hold the engine in place or quit the engine from rotating. Johnny Shits next door,
Big LS guy.
Big LS guy, made this from scraps around a shop. Look, it's a piece of an old ring gear from like an automatic.
He said it looks crazy, but trust me, it works.
So this will lock into the flywheel. This will bolt to where the starter bolts, and then it'll prevent the engine from rotating, which is nice because we got like 250 foot-pounds of torque on this crank pulley bolt. Crazy. Be right there.
That's pretty crude, but it should work.
So we're gonna use the old factory bolt to actually seat the crank pulley, make sure it's fully seated on the crank. Jesus Christ. So the OEM bolts are actually one-time use. They're a stretch bolt, so you can't reuse these. I mean, people probably do, but you can't. Or not. Okay, cool. So, ATI pulley, we can assume is dampened. Now, it is time for a very important mod we haven't talked about yet, but that is making sure the crank pulley doesn't spin on the crank because it's not keyweight from the factory, which is crazy. I'll show you what I mean. If you guys look at this, see how there's a little notch in the crank pulley, that little square, right? So usually there's a notch also in the crank that has a little keyway that prevents the crank pulley from spinning on the crank. It's a pretty standard issue. Some cars don't have it, but most cars do, right? Realistically, the only thing that's preventing this thing from spinning on the crank itself is its clamping force. But accessory drives, right, they're not gonna have that much resistance against it, but the Supercharger, especially on fast acceleration, I mean, that's a lot of mass this thing has to spin, and it's with the crazy tension and everything, there's a lot of force against this to spin on the crank. So we have to add something that will prevent it from spinning. people have figured out a solution. We're gonna show you what it is. We're gonna put some LS blood on spoon sands here. So show them the kit. What we got?
So you got your alignment tool, which just guides your drill. Your pins, and it comes with the drill bit.
So we're drilling into this now with a crank to basically add something that will prevent the crank pulley from rotating, right?
We're tapping the crank and the cam in the same week?
Yeah, drilling.
Oh, yeah.
No panic, right? I think you're supposed to use the first dowel is supposed to go where?
Yep.
Okay.
So
The ITC Billet makes this one. They make everything. ATI has their own. A bunch of companies make their own. But literally this works as just a guide for the drill bit, the drill hole, and the crank, and it also partially drills into the crank pulley, and then it basically puts this dowel that wedges the two between each other, right? We're doing all four?
if we want, yeah.
Can you just do one?
Do two.
Do two? I
We normally do two across from each other.
I feel like two is fine. I have two extra. I like that. Four just seems ridiculous. 3 hours later. So now we have, let me see those 2 holes. So we can basically slip 2 dowels in that'll prevent it from spinning. So I just want to measure depth before we try to shove this thing in there, because if it's a little bit short, it'll be such a pain in the ass to get out. To be honest, we'll knock her in there. Hell yeah.
She ain't slipping now.
Nope. For the ARP bolt, right, this juicy thing, it says apply a high temp RTV on both sides of the washer and then use Loctite and tighten to 230 foot-pounds. Easy. I know oil will come through these holes a little bit, so the RTV is to prevent oil from spitting out your crank pulley.
Good old Honda bond on the LS.
Yeah, you do that.
Lather this up.
Yeah. Crank bolt's never coming out because we put Honda bond on it. Not 'cause of it.
That's not gonna leak.
Then we're gonna get some of this on there. Some red lock. This thing is never coming out. Yeah, everything's fine. Okay, that's a lot. Seat it. The engine mounts are still loose. Oh, okay.
See, gym strength.
Nice. All right, so now we could finally take the pulley for our supercharger and put this on. Oh, thank God it lines up. There we go. Yes, it fits. So we're gonna go with electronic throttle body. I just really like.
Face that way, the other way.
It faces this way, I believe. Yeah, I know it's
the plug.
Eh? Oh yeah, it's right here. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, look at the writing's up.
Yeah, but you can probably face it this way, so the plug's over here.
Put upside down. Yeah, we'll out there for now. It's a rubber one. We could.
Because if not, you're gonna have the plug right next to the belt. No,
That's where it goes factory. That's a great point though. Flip it. We'll,
I would flip it.
we'll see how it fits for now. There's many different throttle bodies out there. We're going with electric throttle body. Hopefully this doesn't give us issues in the future. I don't think it will. I don't see many people having many issues with modern electric throttle bodies. It gives us a lot of control with the ECU for many functions we'll talk about later on. This is the CTSV one, which is slightly smaller than like the LS3 style one, but the LS3 style one sticks out to like here, so I probably wouldn't get in the way, but I just like the CTSV one, to be honest. It's like a 3mm difference. I don't think we'll notice it. People do port these because if you look see how this has like this ugly taper and then this harsh angle. We can machine out this angle and it might help with flow. That's something I think that we'll play with later on. This comes off real easily and it's all O-ring, so it's easily something we can play with later on. All right, I didn't want to end this video until we finish the accessories. So, found these local, good old-fashioned AC Delco, America's finest. So we have the missing pulley right there. Looks right, something like that. Then we have the missing tensioner. It's getting crazy over there.
That's really cramped over there.
Yeah. Well, let's just put this on. I want to make sure this all fits because we leave for Clean Culture, Virginia. Well, we have to load the cars up like now, and I won't be able to sleep this whole weekend if I don't get this figured out.
Thing about the LS, just call your local auto parts store.
That's right.
That's it, baby.
Right down the street.
Right down the street. This is looking good so far, boys. This is looking intrusive right here with this giant tensioner thing that we have. So
yeah, the tensioner moves over.
Yeah, it does. Can we get that other bolt in? What we were looking before, and this tensioner is offset like a rib from this no matter which way we flip it. So we might have to do some, we just noticed this as we're fitting this up. So we might have to do some machining, whatever. Dagnell's got a Bridgeport next door. Pain in the ass thing. Yeah. All right, hold it right there. Oh, dude, the belt is gonna like touch that thing. Why doesn't that fit? Wrong bracket? Is this the wrong tensioner? I don't know, dude. Let's unbolt this for now. We'll play this game in this. Alright. I don't know if it's a longer belt, 'cause I can't tell if this pulley is bigger than factory or not, so I just got a factory length belt. And this thing is like, I think it's like this.
I'll put it under.
What? It goes under?
Goes under the water.
Do I have to take that bracket off? Oh, it just fits. That was nice. I know this goes here, and then it's supposed to go through here, which is wild. And it pulls here. Is this really the belt? That's a little long. See, this is why I'm doing this now. AC does not get driven on this. That's why it would be wrong. If this tension's inward, that means it might give us just enough room for this pulley. Give me a second.
What did Spoon get it? You get an LS too?
He's so excited.
Alright, well I figured this out. Spoon's got a big thing that just showed up. Go.
It's like Legos, but for adults.
It's like Legos just for Spoon.
Legos for Spoon.
It's like Lincoln Logs, but a lot more work.
For Spoon.
For Spoon. Cage. You guys saw we got one of these cages for the E36. These are pre-made cages. They're pre-bent, pre-cut. They're all laser engraved of where they should go.
3D scanned into the car so they fit super tight. Cage kits. Thank you. I couldn't be more grateful.
You guys saw how well it fit in the E36. It was insane. So Spoon knew that he had to have this cage for his A6. Or we're gonna call it A6. It's an A6.
It's A6.
It's an A6 chassis.
I've been calling it a FRZ because it's like a BRZ FR. So I don't know.
It's A6.
It's an A6. Hell yeah.
Thank you, Cage Kids. Love you guys.
We have been trying to collect as many major parts of Spoon's build as possible so we can kind of just hit the ground running on that build, because I really want to get that together with him for this season, at least for a couple months. So this is one of the last major pieces of the entire puzzle, which is really exciting.
And it's a puzzle itself.
And it's sick, so when he's miserable welding it, I don't feel bad.
It's his car.
It's his car.
I signed up for this.
Luckily they took a lot of the hard work out of this. Now Spoon's got to do the tedious stuff.
The fun part.
Keep that clip saved so we can get a picture of him just under his dash pissed.
We're gonna go back and he's gonna be welding with a smile on his face.
Oh hell yeah.
You got my heart, you got my mind. His feet are.
So guys, Cage Kits makes welding cages, pre-made welding cages for
Almost every popular chassis.
insane amount of chassis and many multiple different types of kits to suit your style, right? So if you guys check them out, please hop below. Cage Kits in the description. We could not be more grateful for this. So I'm very excited to get to run one of these in his car.
Cage Kits. When are you making one for that? Little switcheroo.
Yeah, we just went and got the right belt. Shout out to Eric for always saving the day. Now let's hope I got the right belt. Once we tension this, it should get out of the way of the Supercharger tensioner. My sleep for the week depends on this. I think it's good. I think we might have to go a size smaller. Yeah, we'll have to go a size smaller, but we know. All right, I'm time to order another belt. So watch, when I tension it, it'll bring this out of the way, right? So good. We got to start somewhere with belt sizes sometimes. So we'll clamp the belt just so we can get the tensioner out of the way so we can fit up the other one. A little bit of YouTube magic. Hopefully this fits, because the other tensioner should, yep, see how much room you have now because it's out of the way. Alright, so we have a little process of setting this belt now. Alright, now we'll see if I got the right Supercharger belt, because we just measured this last night with a wire, so.
It's green, so that's a good start.
That's a good start, right? Factory is only 2 here. I'm gonna assume that third one goes like that. Okay, I messed something up. We measured this, we can't be far off. No. Is that how we did this?
That goes down.
Oh, this, and then, oh, that wouldn't be like that. All right, we figured it out, and it makes a lot more sense. Dude, we had like 6 different configurations that like kind of
They
worked.
all kind of work though.
All right, so check this out. We realized this is the way that works, right? Actually confirming with the manufacturer. I can't play it off like we figured it out, but it makes sense because look at now we have the most surface area on the pulley for the supercharger as possible, right? It wraps around as much as possible, so there'll be no slippage right here because it's most prone to slipping, right? On this pulley, ultimate surface area on this thing, thanks to these two pinching it together, looking like a shape that we all know what that looks like. It's been a long week. We all good. So we know we need this belt shorter, but if you guys don't realize this, the part number of the belt is the length of it, right? So 6 PK means it's 6 ribbed, and then 2160 is the length in millimeters. So we're gonna do an inch shorter, so we'll take 25 mils out of it and order up that part number of belt, and we should be good to go. Now these two fit together because since they're both at attention, they both moved out of the way. We figured it out, boys.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. This was like the big hurdle with the stupid accessories. So if you guys are doing this setup, I did not find good information on this setup. Mimic this. 2010 generation CTSV supercharged setup, right?
This is so much belt.
Yeah. It could be worse. It could be worse. I'm just happy that the supercharger belt is separate from the accessory. So now the mission of all this fancy stuff is literally just to make sure this thing spins and doesn't slip. Accessories are finished up. We went and got a clutch line made, or we went and got a power steering line made for the power steering pump. We just need a low pressure so we can ride off the power steering system being done.
Exhaust done.
Exhaust done.
Hangers are done. Headers are on.
Exhaust done. Accessories done. Power steering done.
Chargers bolted on. Done.
Done. So we need the wiring harness comes in on Monday. We could do that in like 30 minutes because the wiring specialist harness. Radiator shows up tomorrow, which we won't be here, but that's fine.
Fuel system. The rest of the fuel system stuff will show up tomorrow.
For show up tomorrow, we could do that in half a day. So we might.
We will.
We will.
We will.
Yeah. If we're this was all the stuff that might be a pain in the ass to not get the next day. Everything else is within next day territory.
We can make it work.
We can make it work. So for now, big victory and wish us luck in Virginia. So you guys know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for more content. Oh, and don't forget the Front Street collab tee we're doing to help get the boys. The final bout is in the description, limited quantity, so don't miss out. Support the boys, wear some cool merch, I can't speak, and oh, you know the deal. Have a good night. Spoon.
Have a good night.